What's up, AfterBuzzers? Welcome back to the Veep After Show. We're going to be covering Season 7, Episode 6. Lots of stuff going on in this one. Second to last episode of the season and of the show. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Listen to that. Got the new jams.
Very fitting for an almost Selina presidency.
Right? I could see her totally rocking out on stage.
And
to
the
this.
balloons not coming down.
Yeah, no balloons.
None.
I think Gary would get down to that song.
He would.
He'd be into it.
He'd start flossing.
Yeah, he definitely would.
He'd be amazing.
Well, welcome back, guys. My goodness, we only have one episode left after this.
Yeah.
Pretty sad about that, but excited to jump in and talk about this episode with you guys this week. Sorry I missed the last two, but I know Mina held it down. Speaking of which...
Hey everyone, I'm Mina, super stoked to be back. I'm so sad there's only one episode left. What the heck is going on?
I know, it's bumming me out. And guys, I'm Amy Maestri. We're just going to jump right in because I think we have a lot to talk. I feel like there's a lot of feelings we have to process right now.
Yeah.
With only an episode left after this one. Overall thoughts on this episode to start with?
I love it because I feel like it covered everything from Tibet and the Peace Prize and just the hypocrisy of her, you know, saying, oh, I didn't even want to accept this Peace Prize, and just like wanting that title to, you know, using your family for political gain. What? I thought you just use other people for political gain, but
No,
not with Selina.
They're all on the table. It's all up for grabs.
Yeah, and then they touched on addiction, and then also adult chicken pox. so many things.
They really ran the gambit on this one. Like, they covered everything.
They really
I also
did.
liked you when you're talking about the Peace Prize, the Junior Peace Prize, as
Yeah.
they're calling it. No, yeah, I agree. I think it's one of those episodes where you can just see they're starting to tie more things together, and they're setting up a lot for this last episode.
Yeah, they even like talk about droning Muslims. Oh, by the way, happy Ramadan, everyone. But yeah,
Great segue.
They have some horrible things in here. But I was just like, it was like I said, like the previous episodes, really great writing.
Yeah.
Funny. And yeah, I'm excited to see what happens in the finale. I don't see how all of this is going to be concluded because I feel like there's so much missing, and we haven't seen anything from Kemi. Like,
it's
really,
really.
it's weird that she would be like such a huge contender in this race, and we know nothing about her.
Yeah, I remember early on that we were both feeling pretty strong that she was going to play a pretty big role throughout the season. Mm-hmm. But really, it's just, kind of been mentions of her, which, I mean, I guess makes sense, though, too. I can get down with that just because it is the last season. Like, you want to see all the old, classic characters coming back into play. And, so, like, I can kind of see where that makes sense, but I am a little surprised by it, though, too.
Who do you want to win the election, and who do you think will win the election?
Oh, man. God, I was thinking about this today, and should we wait for predictions?
Yeah, actually,
okay.
That's probably best.
All right, we're gonna make you guys wait. Deal with it. But okay, so let's just jump in. I mean, we had the two different storylines really going of Selina being in Norway to accept her Junior Peace Prize, while also having it uncovered that she had the drone strikes on the Muslims at the wedding.
Yeah.
Mina is back.
Yeah.
God, I love her. What a kook. I love her so much.
I just, the whole time, I don't know why, I just like hated her. It was like, oh, like you're gonna get Selina in this tough bind and then pretend that you're just such a gracious person by having her seek asylum and giving her refuge. Like, get out of here, Mina.
There's something so ridiculous about her character that I'm just tickled every time she comes onto the screen. I love her so much.
She like sticks to her morals. Like, I can't have someone who's a war criminal accepting the Peace Prize.
There's something about the way that she plays her too, the actress, that it's just so like awkward and funny, but not awkward to the point of like you're like cringing awkward. Mm-hmm. There's always just something about that character. I think she's probably one of my favorites. As like someone that was reoccurring that was never in every episode or every season or anything.
Definitely.
I think she's probably top 5 for like one of those random characters for me in the show. But yeah, so we have simultaneously they're there, so she can accept the award. They're going through the plans for Catherine and Marjorie's wedding, and then of course everything kind of swirling around the investigation into her, and then we have Andrew leaving at the last episode. Everything could just kind of happening at once. Did you see this coming with, like, the extent of the Norwegian police and everyone getting involved, the escape? Like, did you think that they were going to, like, heighten it as much as they did in this episode?
No, because usually Selina just gets out of everything so seamlessly.
Yeah.
But with this one, it actually felt like, oh, shoot, is she going to spend a night in jail? Like, what's going to happen? Like, this one, it felt like the stakes were higher for some reason. Because usually something horrible happens and you know that there's going to be a recovery process. With this one, I was just like, well, there's only one episode left. What if the final episode is she's in jail but still wins the presidency? What? Yeah. Because they foreshadowed, like, wait, can you be in jail and still run for office? Remember they said something about that in, like, an earlier episode? So I was like, I wonder if there's some weird clause saying that you can't.
I'm starting to wonder, like, I really want to know when these episodes were written, because it's a little terrifying to see the parallels right now in real life. Yeah, no. Which I know we talk about a lot on this show, but, like, especially in this episode, all the stuff going on, I'm like, oh my God. Even right down to the anti-vaccination stuff, which we'll get into with Jonah too. Like, everything is kind of, like, eerily similar right now.
I think what this highlighted the most, which we haven't really gotten into as much in previous episodes, was just, like, foreign policy. It's just, like, how scary it is to have that much power where, like, you can influence the way the world works because of certain relationships with different countries, and you can say, oh, a country is free or they're not free, and how that's, like, mirroring everything that's going on with Iran right now, and the U.S. trying, like, you know, Donald Trump pulling out of the Iran deal, Iran nuclear deal. So I feel like there's a lot of parallels with, like, how one person has the ability to affect all this legislation. And the Tibet scene we'll get to. But...
Oh, God. Yeah, well, because, I mean, I think one of my favorite lines from the episode is the worst people in politics always succeed.
Yes.
And I was just like, oh, so God, that's so funny. Oh, no, it's true.
Yes, it's funny because it's true.
But, yeah, let's just kind of work our way through this evening for Selina. I think one of the things that stood out to me, too, is the way this episode shifted so seamlessly in and out of everything. I feel like a lot more happened. It feels like a lot more happened in this episode than they made it seem like. You know, like, it just was very
It felt more
very
organized, too. I don't know how to explain why. There's just something about the format of it where... everything was kind of linear, where you're not jumping from character to character. I feel like most episodes in this season have been like Selina, Kemi, Jonah, Amy.
Yeah.
Like,
they're trying to fit everything in,
Mike. Okay, but now it's like, we got to see a little bit of that, but it was more like them coming together, and it wasn't so like separate storyline, other separate storyline, other. It was like, okay, what's happening? Like, what's the important stuff going on?
Exactly.
So it was mainly like Jonah and Selina, but like Selina in another country and how that affected her relationship with her kids, as opposed to it being like she's here, she's there. Yeah. It was so much better.
That's true. Yeah. I think, like you said, like, the timeline of everything that they did was nice. And speaking of her kids, so oh, Catherine. Poor Catherine. Catherine
annoys the hell out of me. Even though she's so sweet and innocent, and she did, like, let's keep this, like, clear. She's done nothing wrong. Like, she's an angel. But there's something about her that just annoys the hell out of me. And I don't know why. I should empathize with her because Selena's, like, a horrible mom. But, like, Catherine just annoys me. I'm just like, ugh, like, can you stop complaining?
I feel like the introduction of Marjorie's character was one of the smartest, like, additions to a cast ever. I just really, I think it's great how she kind of balances her out. Yeah. And her deadpan delivery on everything is just so spot on and so good.
It really is wonderful. And the fact that she's, like, has this deadpan delivery, and then you have the overly emotional Catherine, and it works because it's, like, two ways of responding to Selina.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Which Marjorie made very clear in the last episode that you're two totally reprehensible human beings. But
you guys are disgusting.
But you made this perfect human, which who you hate.
Yes.
But yeah, so she, Selina, of course, wants them to get married there. Catherine ends up taking her up on that and to go through with the wedding. And I feel like that scene at the end with Selina and Catherine was just so perfect and fitting, because they have a lot of scenes like this throughout the show of, like, Selina's like, you're like, oh, look, she's trying to kind of be nice, but also not really. Wait, is she doing a good job of it? Oh, no, wait, she was using her daughter to be able to escape the embassy.
I wonder why she had kids in the first place. I wouldn't be surprised if she had a kid because it would affect her chances positively for, gaining a seat in office.
Kissing babies, that whole,
being relatable, being a mom.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think her just using the wedding, I think is just what a perfect, summary of their relationship.
Do you know what I wish we had? And this is totally tangential. I wish we had a Selina backstory. Who was Selina as a kid? I just want to know, what was she like?
We got a couple insights here and there when, she went back to her hometown, that kind of stuff. But, yeah, I would have liked to see a little more.
I want, a 5-year-old actress playing Selina.
Yeah.
And, I want to see how she is the way she is. I really, I would die to see that. That would have been perfect. Was she always, a little shit? Or, has this been because of the political realm jading her?
Yeah. I'm going to say she was always a little shit.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I love her. I love her so much, even though she's so hateable. I love Selina.
And that's the thing. They did such a good job of creating, a villain in so many ways, but is still the one that you want to be rooting for at the end of the day.
Yeah, the villain protagonist.
Exactly, yeah.
When do you ever root for the villain?
Sounds like a band name, the villain protagonist.
Yeah. Or a wrestler.
He's wise.
Yeah.
So then, of course, the big, the secret gets out about the drone footage. Mm-hmm. Love the scene of her telling Mina and accidentally divulging that information. Mm-hmm. Of course, I feel like Selina probably in her mind is see, Catherine ruined this too, because it was a misunderstanding about the wedding and what wedding she was referencing when she accidentally said that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I wasn't sure how she was going to get out of this at first.
Yeah, I genuinely did not see any hope. What I thought would happen, as the only way to actually save her was that some other news story would take precedence over it and that no one would care.
Yeah.
But I didn't really see, how anything would get better. But then when I saw the whole Free Selina movement, I was like, oh my God, this is the whole Free Trump movement. And how people were like, no, he's not involved with Russia.
Yep.
But I love that.
And that actually led to, before we went on air, you were mentioning one of your favorite lines from the episode. That actually led to that line of that there's only two things that Americans care about seeing: her animals and white girls on spring break.
Yeah, animals and white girls on spring break. I thought that was hilarious. It's who cares? Literally, they're just demonstrating something that's all too real, where it's oh, Muslims being bombed or droned? Oh, no big deal. Oh, but an animal? Oh, God forbid, this helpless creature. It's just the irony and, the hypocrisy of and just the things that we care about as a society.
And it's funny because you knew it. As soon as they had the elephant in that scene, I was like, that's how they're going to turn on her again. Because we even know that, just you're like, oh, that's for sure. They're that's okay.
And we also, we see this time and time again in the news where, the reason why we care about some random white girl getting kidnapped in an African country or being held hostage is because, oh, we relate to that person, we think that it could be us, versus if it was someone who was other, we wouldn't care. We would be like, oh, they're not American, because we have this idea of what it means to be American that isn't accurate.
Yeah.
When American should mean all encompassing, melting pot, but it doesn't. People empathize more when it's of some white female versus, a minority person of color. Yeah, or an elephant. Seriously, that's so sad. But I do love elephants.
They're very majestic.
They really are, and they're very smart, and they live forever.
See, they are. And that's where I think this
longer than
show...
Seriously.
Yeah.
And in today's climate,
I think this show, it's always done this, but especially the past couple seasons, I think. They just do such a good job of, telling so many truths in a way that it's delivered in a way that it doesn't feel like they're kind of trying to push it on you, which is hard because I think a lot of shows, obviously this is a political show, but a lot of shows when they try to get political, it almost feels like, okay, we get it. We get what your politics are sometimes. But I think they do it in a really nice way where, again, this whole season, Jonah's Trump. Jonah is straight up Donald Trump in this season, but it doesn't feel like pushy to me for some reason. I'm not sure kind of how or they do that, but
they give them redeeming qualities where we still can love someone that's such a horrible person.
Yeah.
Like they just, and I think it's because we know that this isn't what the writers had in mind, and they're kind of poking fun at certain things.
Yeah.
Where we're just like, oh, okay, like. We can see Selina and the people around us, like, I don't know. Hopefully not too many people around us, but we can kind of, to a certain degree, see that in our government.
Yeah, and so towards the end of this episode, too, we have everything, kind of coming to a head after she escapes, makes the brilliant idea to go back to the ceremony to accept her award again, because it's all just about getting that award and getting that title and everything, and then she has to give away Tibet anyways, back to President Liu. Talk about raising the stakes, that speech of just all the terrible things that are gonna happen to Tibet.
I love when she's like scroll, and then you can kind of see what it says as she's scrolling. It's like all the homes that will be burned and destroyed. And it was just like,
it's so bad. And then she immediately fires Leon when she gets off stage.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was just like, and then they have to take a picture together, and he's like, oh, everyone will be remembering this moment forever. And I'm just like, you literally gave up Tibet just to win the presidency, even though you know how it's going to affect everything.
Yeah, I think this was a really powerful statement, because she'll always do these moves. She'll always play those moves and have something like that happen. But this episode, it really was. The stakes were raised on every level. And for this to be like, that was her thing. I did Tibet. I got Tibet. That was always her thing this season. And then...
My favorite thing about that whole thing was when President Liu was like, okay. And then he's like, you really want to be president that bad? Is it even that great to be president of a democracy? And then she goes, well, it's not really a democracy when you think about it. And I was just like, okay, I love this line.
Again, the stinging truths where you're just like,
like everything about that interaction from the very beginning of her interaction with Liu, where she says something and it's being translated in Mandarin, and she says something else in Mandarin where she's like, cut the crap. Like, I know you speak English. Like, you don't have to do this anymore. Like, we already know. So.
Exactly.
Oh, so funny. Love it.
I will say, I would love to see a jail scene with Selina.
I thought we were gonna see that.
Even just when Mina was talking about it, like, if you go to prison, like, you won't have Gary there, and Gary's like, no, I'll be there. I'd like to see Selina in jail and Gary trying to get into the jail.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
We'll see. Yeah. We still got an episode left. We're gonna get crazy.
He would
with
take the bullet for her. He would do jail time for Selina
easily. He for 100%. So let's kind of shift over to some of the other smaller storylines in this one. Like you mentioned, I do think even though they jumped around a little bit, they were shorter segments. It was just kind of like almost like, here's a comedic...
A 1 minute,
yeah,
a 2
exactly.
minute. Like, they didn't make it an overwhelming part of the show. And keep in mind, the show's only 30 minutes. So when you're doing, like, more than that, then you're just taking away so much from Selina. It's
really impressive how much they fit into these 30 minutes. But let's talk about Jonah really quickly. Speaking of parallels, the anti-vaxxer thing and the chicken pox, like, right now with all the stuff about, like, the measles outbreaks and everything with, like, the anti-vaxxers, and I was like, what, like, is Veep's predicting the future at this point? Is what they're saying. Like, we...
They really are. It's quite scary.
But of course, Jonah's still on his path of just kind of like speaking to the lowest common denominator. What was the line about like deadbeat dads and moms in Florida? Like he's like, yeah, those are my people. Those are my people. And then the plot thickens. After everything with finding out about his dad, and I can't even keep track of how much incest is going on in the family at this point, but
so we won't talk about that.
Just have a little chart next week. We can diagram it out.
Family tree.
Lots of family drama, actually, now that I think about it, packed in for Jonah in this episode without actually having without him having too much of a storyline in it too.
Yeah, there was a lot, and I kind of like the whole, like, how he's held on so much to this grudge against his father/stepfather, and he's just, like, not letting it go. And, like, all it takes is for his dad to be like, oh, like, I love you. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
I forgive you. Like,
I love you too, Dad.
I thought it was so adorable. That's the part of Jonah where I'm like, he'll always be, like, this little kid that's just, like, throwing a tantrum.
Exactly. Yeah, you always see that with his mom, you know.
Tantrum.
Yeah, whenever he gets mad. Like in this one, he's just like, yeah, he's all mad and he's like, oh, well, yeah, I'll take mac and cheese and ketchup. Like he's just such a little boy. But that I can't believe they're just killing everyone.
I don't know what just came to mind, total side note, but Julia Louis-Dreyfus was talking about the actor who plays Jonah in one of her interviews with Jimmy Fallon, and she was saying when they were like shooting the final scenes, like the final season, and it was like the last day of shooting, that he couldn't stop crying and it just kept coming out and he was like getting so emotional about it. And I was like, oh, my Jonah.
Jonah's a real person under it.
He really is a real person. I was just like, that was the most endearing, sweet thing that was so surprising to me.
Oh, I'm a real boy. Oh, man. Well, yeah, so in this one we have his dad dying of adult chickenpox, which he gave him after speaking to anti-vaxxers. So just really going downhill for Jonah in this one. And his hot wife, as he calls it, hot wife, who is now in rehab for pills, who makes, what was it that makes her hotter?
Oh yeah, because she's in rehab. Yeah,
you can't. Every time you think that like Jonah can't get any like dumber in what he says, pulls out a way to do it, and now he turns it into anti-vax, now shifting into close the borders. Because the only way we can stop disease is to shut down the borders.
He's like, no one in, no one out. And then it's like, leaves on this cliffhanger of like, no one in, no one out. And I was just like, clever.
Yeah. So he still finds a way to keep himself up in the polls with all of his, dirt followers, basically, that are trailing along. And then we just got the little tidbits again of like, it was fun seeing Dan and Amy kind of have that weird moment again, and it's funny because
she looked hot. I was just like, oh my god, Amy.
And Amy still loves the validation from Dan.
Yeah,
she just can't shake him. Like even when she was just like, it's a new dress. After he just says this awful pickup line to her.
I don't get it, but I do get it.
Yeah,
it's just that. Yeah.
Well, he has such a good charm, like the charm that he brings to that character too.
He's like gorgeous, gorgeous man.
Yeah,
with
you're
a
just
heart
like,
of blackness, just a black abyss.
The fact that he is now dating the OBGYN that performed Amy's abortion, I was like, well, that's incredible. That is some good writing.
Yeah.
That is some good writing. And then so let's kind of close out with some of the stuff going on with Richard now. He went from, an aide to the president in this season to now being the governor of, was it Iowa?
The governor of Iowa. Wait, no. Now he's the governor of Iowa.
Yeah, well, I couldn't remember what state it was.
So he went from that to mayor.
Yep, and then lieutenant governor.
To lieutenant governor.
And then
to governor, yeah. It's funny how the people who don't want the power just get it the most easily.
He's just like, okay, well, I guess I'm governor now.
Doesn't even care. And here Selina's just like busting her neck trying to make things work. Yeah.
And now he's moving his way up the food chain. So I think it's been interesting to kind of see. We'll get into it in predictions, but kind of like what they're doing with him. It's been an interesting ride for him.
Same with Mike. Mike has kind of been like, now this whole show of his is working.
Yeah.
The
CBS.
Annoying wife and whatever else, and that guy from Reno 911 interviewing him. Always forget his name. He's like the funniest person ever. I love him, and I can't believe I'm like forgetting his name right now.
Oh man,
he's seriously the best.
Well, before we move into our special segment and some news and gossip and everything, we'll get into some predictions. Do you have any other final thoughts on the episode though?
I mean, we saw a little bit more about the whole, like, how the guy wanted to give a contribution to Selina in the form of real estate, and, like, how if you have privilege, you can get out of a situation even if you're guilty. And we see that time and time again in our, like, in every day with O.J. Simpson and, like, whoever... politicians, like, if you have money, if you have privilege, you can get out of something, and there are no consequences for your actions the way there are for everyone else. So I thought that was very telling, and I really liked what they did here with this episode. I thought they did a wonderful job.
Yeah, agreed. And I think I one of my favorite quotes from it, I was going to bring it up earlier and I forgot, was Mina to Selina saying, "I thought you were talking about your daughter's wedding to your homosexual doppelganger." Because I forgot that there's that whole storyline about how, like, from behind, everyone thought that Marjorie was Selina, and Selina was like, no.
Yeah.
I just had her delivery on it. Killed me, but I think that was one of my highlights for lines of the episode. But yeah, loved this one. Very excited for the final one. And I think this week we're gonna change up our special segment a little bit.
Yeah.
Instead of some quotes, I think Mina's got a good little video poll for us.
Yeah, we're actually gonna do Politicians Say the Darndest Things, featuring the one and only Joe Biden. So take it away, Jonathan. And I'll explain this after we watch it. Oh my gosh. Just pay attention to Obama's facial expression.
I got tested for AIDS. I know Barack got tested for AIDS. There's no shame in being tested for AIDS. It's an important thing, because the fact of the matter is, in the community's engaged in denial. They're engaged in denial. No one wants to talk about it in the community, and we do not have enough leaders in the community and outside the community demanding we face the reality, confront the men in the community as well as the women.
Even Hillary was kind of like, oh, wow.
Thank you.
Al Sharpton.
Sharpton's like, what is this guy doing?
Oh, this is so cringeworthy.
I just got to make clear, I got tested with Michelle. When we were in Kenya and Africa, so I don't want any confusion here about what's going on.
And I got tested to save my life because I had 13 pints of blood
with my wife.
And I'm sure Michelle appreciates you clarifying.
In public.
Let me.
Okay, so there's that clip for you. I have no words for this. I just feel like Joe Biden is someone who's just gonna, like, say things and not really have a regard for, like, what's politically correct, which I don't know how to feel about this, other than I just couldn't stop laughing seeing Barack Obama's face, like, oh, you're gonna throw me under the bus like that?
His face made it worth it. I'm just looking down like, oh,
best
no.
buddies. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, let's real quick get into a brief news and gossip segment for you.
Yes.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So I just thought this was cool. Obviously, I always love to talk Julia Louis-Dreyfus as much as I can because she is a golden god of comedy. But she's saying that she does not want to sully Seinfeld with a reunion, which I think is interesting because a lot of actors always, I feel like they're either all in and like, yeah, totally, I would do it tomorrow, or they're like, no, I will never do that, for a lot of these classic shows. But so I just found this on page 6 that says, Seinfeld fans shouldn't count on seeing a reboot in the future. I don't want to sully it, Julia Louis-Dreyfus told Porter Edit in a new interview. It was pretty special, and it's been a long time now. You don't want to F something like that up. So I think that's, it's, you want to see those things, but then you're also like, yeah, you don't want to ruin it. You don't want to ruin it or risk it getting...
I love Seinfeld, but given, like, this pattern of reboots from, like, Full House to, like, Fuller House, I just keep it the way it was, even though I'm super curious, especially we've seen Julia Louis-Dreyfus's range, like, from Seinfeld to Veep, so I think she would be so great in the reboot. I just think that I see that show, like, only working well in the 90s for some reason. I don't know how it would fare in the modern day.
It'd be interesting to see. I feel like they'd be in good hands with it if they, got a lot of the writing and production team back.
If Larry David was still a part of it and he was, like, writing everything, then yes, do it. But
I kind of wonder what his take on it is.
Yeah.
And really quickly too, just to send some good juju out to Tony Hale, because I was realizing this article that I just found. Tony Hale could be the 6th 3-time Best Comedy Supporting Actor Emmy champ.
Wow.
So yeah, it's right now. Tony Hale is one of 3 people to have won 2 Best Comedy Supporting Actor Emmy Awards this decade, the others being Modern Family stars Eric Stonestreet and Ty Burrell. If he wins again for the 7th and final season of Veep, he'd join an elite group of 3-time champs of the category. And those being, let's see, we have Art Carney, Ed Asner, Michael Richards, Brad Garrett, and Jeremy Piven.
Wow.
So
I'm guessing Arrested Development, I feel like Arrested Development must have been one of those wins. If not Veep. I wonder if it was Veep.
I think it was mostly. I feel like Arrested Development didn't get a lot of love at the award shows.
Yeah, it was canceled actually, which still blows my mind to this day.
So dumb. All right, well, let's quickly do some predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Oh boy. I mean, we got one episode left.
Yeah.
So so I know you asked me earlier.
The final question, who do you want to win the presidency and who will win the presidency?
Because like we said, it's hard not to root for her. I want Selina to win it. I want Selina to win it. She is awful and I love her so much. I want her to win it. I'm going to go out on a limb. I think Richard might run.
Yeah, I don't know.
In the end,
I kept thinking like he's
win.
on this crazy upward trajectory.
Which also, when we were talking about like, wait, are they predicting the future? I was like, wait, are they doing a Pete Buttigieg before there was a Pete Buttigieg to know about? Like a mayor that all of a sudden is running for president. But now, Richard, of course, took the step in between of lieutenant governor and governor. But I'm just going to say wild. I think he's going to run and he's going to win.
Yeah.
I don't know if where we are in the timeline, if it's too late or anything. Like, I don't know where they are in the timeline of the actual election right now, but I'm gonna say Richard. Why not?
I feel like the answer I should say is like, oh, Kemi should win, but like, no, I'm not even going there. Even though if this were the real world, I'd probably vote for someone like her. But
so what do you think?
I think, this is so hard. This is what I think, and this is like kind of tough, but I think Selina is going to win, but there's going to be this whole scandal of like, oh, was there collusion involved in this election?
Yeah.
And there might be stuff that comes out about Tibet and China and her relationship with China and, China getting involved and interfering with the election. So we'll see. I do think she's going to win. I just think it's not going to be an easy win.
Yeah.
And who do I want to win? Well, this is the ultimate question. Who do I want to win? There's literally no one that I want to win except for Selina. Just because I want to see what, she's a terrible person. I just want to see what happens.
Yeah,
though.
I want to see her get it.
I just want to see.
Well, last question. Who do you think? Well, you know what? Maybe we can.
What is it? What is it? Who do I think what? No, say it.
Well, I also forgot at this point.
Okay. More cliffhangers. Okay, I guess
more cliffhangers.
They're gonna
for
have
next
to wait
week.
for that. Yeah.
Well, until then, though, where can we find you on social media?
You all can follow me on Instagram at Mina Makes Magic, where I talk politics, movies, pop culture, pretty much everything under the sun. Plus, I have some pretty bomb cooking videos in my highlights, so go check that out.
I'm going to go check out some cooking videos on Mina's social right now. I'm Amy Maestri. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Amy Maestri. We will see you guys next week for the finale.
Yes.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.